Vaheguru, 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 Vaheguru.
ਸਤਨਾਮ ਸ੍ਰੀ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਜੀਓ। ਮਾਇਆ ਕਾਰਨ ਧਾਵਹੀ, ਮੂਰਖ ਲੋਗ ਅਜਾਨ। ਕਹੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਬਿਨ ਹਰ ਭਜਨ, ਬਿਰਥਾ ਜਨਮ ਸਿਰਾਨ। ਜੋ ਪ੍ਰਾਣੀ ਨਿਸ ਦਿਨ ਭਜੈ, ਰੂਪ ਰਾਮ ਤੇ ਜਾਨ। ਹਰ ਜਨ ਹਰ ਅੰਤਰ ਨਹੀਂ, ਨਾਨਕ ਸਾਚੀ ਮਾਨ। ਜੋ ਪ੍ਰਾਣੀ ਨਿਸ ਦਿਨ ਭਜੈ, ਰੂਪ ਰਾਮ ਤੇ ਜਾਨ। ਹਰ ਜਨ ਹਰ ਅੰਤਰ ਨਹੀਂ, ਨਾਨਕ ਸਾਚੀ ਮਾਨ। ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ। Sangat Ji, we just all heard the 28th and 29th Salok of Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji Sache Paatshah Ji from the Bani, Salok Mehalla 9. In this Salok, Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji Paatshah say that Maaeaa Kaaran Dhaavhee, moorakh log ajaan. So this word Maya comes up very often. And in this context, in this Salok, Maya can be translated to doubt. Something that keeps us in param, something that keeps us in doubt. That Maaeaa Kaaran, and Kaaran means the cause. So because of this doubt, so Maaeaa Kaaran Dhaavhee. The word Dhaavhee can be translated to somebody that is just running around, that somebody that isn't stable. So Maaeaa Kaaran Dhaavhee, moorakh log ajaan. And then Maharaj Ji saying, those people that are just chasing after Maya, chasing after something that is temporary. And what does it mean? That something that keeps you in doubt, meaning that's something that we think that is going to bring us eternal peace. That's something that we think is going to help us to become completely balanced, that sahaj that we spoke about in the previous loks. So due to that doubt, thinking that these things, and that might be wealth, that might be whatever it may be, might be family, or might be possession. So different things can be what gives us, keeps us in that doubt. Maaeaa Kaaran Dhaavhee. So we run around and thinking that this is going to give me that eternal peace. And Maharaj is saying, thinking that those people, this is moorakh log ajaan. Maharaj is saying that they are ajaan. Ajaan means somebody that hasn't got any understanding. That jere nahi jaande. Moorakh means a fool. Moorakh log ajaan. Those set of people, Maharaj is saying, that are fools, that haven't got the understanding, that actually that's not what is going to give us contentment. Kahu Nanak, bin har bhajan, birthaa janam siraan. But Maharaj Ji say this is, but without the bhajan, without actually meditating and devoting ourselves to God, they said that birthaa janam siraan. Birthaa means waste, useless. Janam, our life. Siraan means pass. So then that life ends up passing by and in complete waste and is just of no use. So that's the literal meaning of the first slok. And then when we actually look at the second slok, it seems like Maharaj is talking about somebody that is the complete opposite. So on one side, you've got somebody that is just chasing Maya, is chasing these temporary things constant in life and not being at peace and not doing anything righteous. But then it seems like from the outside, when we look at it, that the second slok is talking about somebody that remains constantly immersed in Akal Purkh, but not by remaining within the world. And from the outside, it can seem as if it's talking about somebody that will be just sitting down and just meditating all day long. So Maharaj is saying that Jo Praanee nis din bhajai. That Praanee, that mortal, Jo Praanee nis din. So nis means night, din means day. Jo Praanee nis din bhajai, roop raam te jaan. Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji Paatshah saying, know them to be the roop, the form. Roop raam te jaan. Jaan means to know. Know them to be the form of God. And then Paatshah saying that har jan, har antar nahi, naanak sachi maan. That one that is the servant of God, there is no difference between the servant and God himself. Har jan, har antar nahi. Antar means difference. There is no difference between them. So now, what is the difference between the first slok and the second slok? Somebody's running around, and then there's somebody that is day and night meditating on God and saying, and is immersed in the name of God. So in the first one, we see many times this happening to us in our own lives as well. We have these goals in life, and the reason why we have to go out and earn wealth is for the basic needs of survival. We need a shelter, we need a home to live in, we need food to survive. We need obviously a vehicle, we need a car in today's, the way life has become, to get from A to B, whether it be work, whatever it may be. But when it starts to become more than that, and then people start to think that actually, you know what, I've earned this much and I've reached this goal, but if I could just get a little bit more. And what happens is we'll normally say that, you know, I'll be okay, I'll be fine, I'll be happy if I was to reach this amount. So we set a goal. And Maharaj talk about that as well. So they say, Sahas khate. Khate means when you earn something. So you've earned your first goal, which was that 1,000. So you said that if I was to, once I've got a decent job, once I've got this, you know, once I've got kids, once I've got this, everything else will just then fall into place. Then I'll be happy. But Maharaj saying, Sahas khate, that was the first goal. We've got it. We've earned it. Sorted. We thought we was going to be sorted. But then we're there, and we don't even realize, actually, I've got everything I said, but we're still now looking at what we haven't got. And then that still continues, that chase, that running around, and something, but we're trying to satisfy ourselves with something that is temporary. So then what happens? Sahas khate lakh ko uttave. Ut means he gets up, now tave. He now starts chasing the 100,000. And he's thinking, but only if I was to get that particular model, and if I was able to get a little bit more, if I can get this much, then imagine what I can have with getting that much. So there's this one person is chasing more and more. And instead, just like Guru Sahib Ji say, they say that, Badde badde jo dise log, tinko byape chinta rog. This is that the bigger somebody gets, that actually their worries and the anxieties start to increase. Because now when it's somebody that at a lower level, if you think about, all they're thinking about is, you know what, we're not able to get any form of luxury food, and we've only got the basic food, and then their chase is very small. They're just looking at, well, if I could just get a couple of pounds more, then maybe I'll be able to get something a little more luxurious to eat. But imagine now when you're playing in millions, the loss is in millions as well. The people that you're competing with now, where you're trying to get, it becomes a completely different game. It never stops and it never ends. So on one side, in one slok, Maharaj is talking about being caught up in that rat race, being caught up in that game. But then in the second slok, it's not that Maharaj is talking about somebody that is completely away from that lifestyle in earning money and actually going out there and working and bringing in the amenities and earning for the amenities that we need to live. It can come across, but it's just talking about somebody that's just meditating all day and that's completely away from this. It's actually not talking about that. It's talking about somebody that has a complete balanced life and that is a part of the world as well, that is integrated within society as well, and that actually works. But at the same time, their mind is completely absorbed in the truth in Akal Purkh Vaheguru Ji. And that is possible. How is when they actually start off their day in that way. That's why Guru Sahib Ji has blessed us with the Amrit Vela, and the importance of that is then to continue that way. So jo Praanee nisadan bhajai, because this is talking about day and night. And what happens is sometimes people can get very caught up in thinking that, well, how is this practically going to work? If I go out to work, imagine if I have to take calls all day. I'm trying to do the best I can, but in the same time, we start to think that, but my guru is telling me that I need to be saying Vaheguru, 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 Vaheguru with every breath. So what happens is there's a lot of sangat that I've even come across myself. They get into this, they get all mixed up and they get confused. So they think that this is like, we get really confused when we receive a phone call and we're still trying to do Simran. And then, but we feel that we need more time. So what does it then mean to actually then bhajai, to be meditating on Vaheguru day and night. Because we know then in that way it might not be so practical being in certain jobs where we have to actually communicate and speak to people all day long, and it might not be possible. Yes, obviously there's that avastha Sangat when somebody jobs the Guru Mantra so much and intensely that it goes and sits in their heart and their whole being is vibrating that name itself effortlessly. But when we look at Guru Nanak Dev Ji Paatshah's life, when Guru Nanak Dev Ji went from Raipoe ki Talwandi, when Guru Nanak Dev Ji Paatshah moved from that place, from that birthplace where Guru Nanak Dev Ji Paatshah was born, and then they went to Sultanpur, where Guru Nanak Dev Ji Paatshah's sister was married. Bhaiya Jai Ram Ji, who was the husband of Bebe Nanaki Ji, the sister of Guru Nanak Dev Ji, he managed to get Guru Nanak Dev Ji an amazing job. It wasn't any normal job. Very often we hear about that Guru Nanak Dev Ji, Jithe Paatshah ni tera ginaya, and they had this little ration di dukaan where they had this little hut and they sold flour. But Sangat Ji, it wasn't as simple as that. It wasn't just an any old job. So then Bhaiya Jai Ram Ji spoke to Daulat Khan, and upon speaking to Daulat Khan, who was in charge of Sultanpur at that time, this was a huge responsibility, this job was, because in those days, how today we trade in money, but in those days it wasn't commonly used. So what a lot of people would trade in was actually grain. So if somebody needed to be paid by something, so they'd actually pay them in grain. So there'd be a lot of accounts involved as well, and keeping this responsibility that I need to give this amount to this much because they owed this much. And then you've got the whole people just coming and buying and to using for their household as well. When Guru Nanak Dev Ji Paatshah started this work, eventually what started to happen was Guru Nanak Dev Ji Paatshah's business kept growing and building. And it became one of the most popular places to come and get your household food from. Why did that happen? Because jo Praanee nis din bhajai, roop raam teh jaan, that know them to be the form of God. And in which way was Guru Nanak Dev Ji Paatshah Ji, how was it that they were the absolute form of God? And was it that Guru Nanak Dev Ji Paatshah Ji had to be there and physically actually saying the Guru Mantra constantly? But no, it was that Guru Nanak Dev Ji Paatshah Ji saw that light of God inside of everyone, whoever came to that dukaan, whoever came to that shop. So what Guru Nanak Dev Ji Paatshah would do was that those that had very little, those that were just about surviving, those that would just about have enough food to get by, or not even enough food to get by, Guru Nanak Dev Ji Paatshah ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਤੋਲ ਕੇ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਸੀਗੇ. And what that means is, so Guru Nanak Dev Ji Paatshah would weigh in a lot more flour, a lot more grains and lentil for them, because Guru Nanak Dev Ji saw that in that ted vani parda, so making sure everybody has got that equal opportunity, everyone is getting to fill their stomach equally. And those, yes, that did have enough money, Guru Nanak Dev Ji, they weighed them whatever they paid, they gave them that exact amount. But to those others that were in need of more, Guru Nanak Dev Ji Paatshah weighed and gave them a lot more. And that is giving the swanda as well. And that is every moment is meditating on Vaheguru. Every moment when you're working so honestly. Why was it then at that point everybody started to come into this shop? Because they know that the other people at the other shops, they weigh things wrong. Instead, they give you less. So whatever you're going to give them, they'll weigh you less and give you less. And there was no exact way of knowing. And it could take you so long to catch up with that you're being giving less. But when you find out, when you start to hear that, you know what, there's somebody there that actually gives you the right amount, he'll never weigh you in less. And instead, those that need more, he'll actually give you more. So when Guru Nanak Dev Ji Paatshah would take their stones to weigh out the rice and everything else and the lentils and the flour, they'd start putting their stones down. And as they were counting, going from ek, do, and then getting to 10, 11, 12, 13. When they got to 13, Guru Nanak Dev Ji Paatshah would remain immersed in 13. And from saying 13, which is with a bindi, they would start saying 13, 13, 13, 13, 13. Basically meaning that main nahi prabh sab kich tera, that I am nothing, that everything is yours. Guru Nanak Dev Ji Pacha Ji saying Tera, Tera, Tera was seeing that light of God inside of everyone. And then as they were serving, people started to speak and say, you know what, that Guru Nanak Dev Ji, that person that runs that shop, he is the form of God. O ta Rabb da roop ya, jo Praanee nis din bhajai, day and night remaining immersed, even when you're at work, when you're completely focused on Akal Purkh Vaheguru Ji. Because sometimes Sangat Ji, we get all mixed up. Gurbani tells us as well, there's those people that are saying the name of God with their tongue constantly, but it doesn't mean their chit, it doesn't mean that their mind is completely focused in God. Har har nit karhe rasana, that even though the rasana, even though the tongue is saying har har every moment, har har nit karhe rasana, but kehya kachu na jani, but the name of who they are saying, they know nothing of that one. That one, what is that one? That one is that form of compassion. That one is the one that ek nadar kar dekhe sab upar, that looks upon everyone with one vision. Ek nadar kar dekhe sab upar, jeha pao, teha fal paiye. And then Guru Nanak Dev Ji Pacha Ji looking at everyone equally. Har har nit karhe rasna, kehya kachu na jani, chit jinka hir leya. Pacha saying that chit, our consciousness, our focus, what's that on? Pacha saying chit jinka hir leya. There's those people, they could be saying one thing with their tongue, but their chit has been taken away. The chit has been stolen. Here means to be stolen. Chit jinka hirleya, Maaeaa bolan peravani. But instead, then they speaking in a Maaeaa, meaning they're speaking completely false. But Guru Nanak Dev Ji Pacha Ji is absolutely, completely immersed in that one from inside, in that way, in seeing and treating everyone equally and remaining honest, is that way of how we know that that name of God has actually gone inside. Just like Pacha says that Raam, Raam, sab ko kahe, kehe Raam na hoye, Gur Prasadi, Raam man vase, ta phal pave koe. They're saying that everybody says Raam, Raam. This is but by just saying it, it doesn't mean you become it. But when the name of God goes deep inside of our heart, then what will come from that? Just like Pacha Ji say in Gurbani to us, they say that Uthat, Baitat, Har har tiya, Uthat Baitat means when you get on with your work. And then, just like you start from Amrit Vela, you actually with your rasana, you say Vaheguru, 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 but you're not just saying it, you're taking it deep inside of your heart. And when you take that word deep inside of your heart, then you start to see Vaheguru within everyone else as well. Saying it then, Uthat, Baitat, then when you get on with your work, when you're standing, sitting, mean when you go to work, get into life, Uthat Baitat, har har tiya ye, but then Hari is in your dhyan. It's not necessary that you have to keep saying it, because then it's about being focused at work at that time and speaking sweetly to those customers that come. That mitha bole, nev chalhe, sejje rave patar. At that moment, it's not about getting a head into a muddle and thinking, well, if I'm not saying the word now, then I'm forgetting Vaheguru. No, it's when Vaheguru is now, because you said the word with your tongue in the morning and you allow it to go inside deep. And then how do you show that it's sitting inside of your heart? Then mitha bole, when you're speaking sweetly, never challe, when you're remaining in humility, sejje rave patar. In that way, we're getting to enjoy our husband. Uthat baitat, har har tiya ye, because now that Hari is in our dhyan, it's in our complete consciousness, in our focus. And then Pacha saying, an din so krit kariye. An din, day and night, then what happens is, so krit. Krit means the work that we do, the actions that we carry out. What happens to those actions? They become so. So means sresht, that they become very pure. That every action then becomes very pure. So Sangat Ji, that's why it's very important for us to understand this. And in this same way, when we look further into Gurbani as well, Gurbani will tell us of this amazing conversation. When Guru Arjan Dev Ji Pacha Ji, when they were sitting and they were reciting all the Bani to Bhai Gurdas Ji. Bhai Gurdas Ji, when they were writing all the Gurbani out, this is in 1604 in Ramsar di Dharti in Amritsar. Guru Arjan Dev Ji Pacha Ji says to Bhai Gurdas Ji, says Bhai Gurdas Ji, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਕਿ ਇੱਕ ਵਾਰ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਭਗਤ ਤਰਲੋਚਨ ਜੀ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਭਗਤ ਨਾਮਦੇਵ ਜੀ ਨੂੰ ਮਿਲਣ ਆਏ ਸਨ। ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਭਾਈ ਗੁਰਦਾਸ ਜੀ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਭਗਤ ਤਰਲੋਚਨ ਜੀ came to meet ਭਗਤ ਨਾਮਦੇਵ ਜੀ once. And they said that Bhagat Lochan Ji, they said they actually had a doubt in their mind about Bhagat Namadev Ji. They didn't actually understand what was going on when they actually met him. They wasn't expecting to see him in that way. And what happened was, and then as they're telling this conversation, and they've got this, and this written by Bhagat Kabir Ji, and they said that Bhagat Kabir Ji wrote here as well. They said that Bhagat Lochan Ji, when they came to meet Bhagat Namadev Ji, within their mind, they've got this big Bhagat sitting there with a mala in their hand, immersed, meditating with their eyes closed. But when he came along, he says, Nama, Maaeaa Moheya. He says, Oh Bhagat Namadev Ji, Bhagat Lochan Ji saying, Nama, Maaeaa Moheya. Has Maya, has all this enticed you? Has it taken over your mind? Nama Maaeaa Moheya, kahe Lochan meet. The friend, Bhagat Lochan Ji saying this to Bhagat Namadev Ji. He says, Kahe chipaho chai le. Kahe. This is talking about now the work that Bhagat Namadev Ji does. This kahe chipaho. Chipaho actually means printing. Chai le is referring to a sheet, the actual cloth that you print onto. And he's saying, Kahe chipaho chai le. He goes, what is this that you're all stuck in? You're just here working all day and you're printing stuff on these sheets, and this is, and then he says that raam na labho cheet. And he goes, what about Ram? Aren't you meant to be immersing Ram into your consciousness? I can't believe what's going on here. Bhagat Namadev Ji, they turned around and they say that Nama kahet lochana mukte Ram samal. He said that even though you see me, that you think from the outside, I'm entangled in all of this. He goes, actually, but the truth is, he goes, mukte Ram samal. He goes, sambhalana, like when we say in Punjabi, he goes, kise cheez nu sambhal ke rakhna. He goes, par main us Hari da naam mere mukh te sambhal ke rakhya aya. He goes, but you know, sambhal ke means when you take care of something. He goes, I've taken care of God's name upon my tongue. He goes, don't think that I've forgotten God. Don't judge me from looking at the outside and think that what has he got caught up in. He goes, actually, he goes, God is upon my tongue, and not just upon my tongue, but whenever I'm dealing with these clothes and sheets, when I have to talk to people, I don't forget God. I keep God in mind. So when I speak sweetly to someone, God is there still. Then mukte Ram samal, Ram is still there. It's when I speak bitterly, that's when Ram isn't there anymore. That's when God isn't there on my tongue anymore. And then he says that haath, paun, kar, kaam, sab. He goes, with my hands, heart, and my feet, haath, paun, kar, kaam, sab, I still carry out all the work that I need to carry out. It doesn't stop me from doing my housework. Shouldn't stop us from thinking, well, you know what? I need to spend that little 15 minutes more. Even though, yes, I've done my nitnem, I've sat down, I've jobbed some naam as well. But then we think, no, you know what? What's the point? This is all a waste of time. What's the point of this life? What's the point of like doing anything? Because people get into that thought, especially when people first come into Sikhi, they think we don't get it, then what's the point of life? And then what's the point of even doing this and earning all this money? But Sangatji, it's about our actions every moment as we're doing that work. We are meant to be the examples when we're out there integrated into society and show how it's done honestly. And then remember, it's not wrong to earn a lot of money. If somebody does earn a lot of money, profits a lot of money in their business, it's nothing to feel bad about. And actually, that just means there's more now to distribute and better the world. So that doesn't mean we should restrict ourselves. We should still continue doing everything else that needs doing, whether it mean helping out in the house, washing the dishes. There's so many people that say, well, my parents still aren't happy with me because I've now come onto this path of Sikhi, I've come onto this spiritual path. Parents, they might not care that you're doing part now because they might not be in that way inclined. But if we show them practicality, if we show them that we're actually still helping out, that will make them happy. So it's not to run away from these things. That's why Bhagat Namadev Ji said, so if it needs, the dishes need washing, whatever needs doing, we continue. We shouldn't feel that, no, I'm missing out from more abhyas, no, I'm missing out from japping more naam. But it's actually being present to that moment and carrying on and then doing it. Haath, paun, kar, kaam, sab, that with my hands and feet, I'm carrying out all the work. But cheet naranjan naal, but my chit, but my consciousness is immersed in Niranjan. And remember this word that's used, very unique, Niranjan. Anjan means mascara, and mascara being black, referring to Maya, referring to impurities. That's saying nir without. It's saying without any mark, without any blackness, without any form of being tainted by Maya, with letting anything take my mind over from the truth. So saying that my mind is still in a complete pure place with Vaheguru, helping me to keep my actions pure as well. So Sangat Ji, hopefully we can take something very practical away from this. It doesn't mean, but yes, it doesn't come easily. It's not going to just come straight away. What some people think is we can just go out there, because then there's a complete other perspective as well. When we think we can just get to that level straight away. No, it does take hard work. Yes, it does mean we have to immerse ourselves into listening to Kirtan, doing Sangat of great Gursikhs and Mahapurkhs, and doing Japing Naam ourselves when it starts to go deeper inside. And when it goes deeper inside, then it becomes day and night. And then when somebody sees the actions that come from that place, then they'll be saying that this is the form of God, that jo Praanee nisadan bhajai, roop, raam, jaan, and then their every action is coming from God Himself. Then that is God Himself carrying out all the work. So Sangat Ji, itniyan bੇਨਤੀ ਪ੍ਰਵਾਨ, ਇੱਕ ਨਹੀਂ ਅਨੇਕਾਂ ਗਲਤੀਆਂ ਹੋ ਗਈਆਂ ਹਨ, ਅਣਜਾਣ ਬੱਚਾ ਸਮਝ ਕੇ ਬਖਸ਼ ਦੇਣਾ। ਆਓ ਬੁਲਾਓ ਫਤਿਹ। ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ।
If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, share and subscribe. Please donate and help spread Guruji's message. Link is in the description below. Vaheguru ji ka khalsa, Vaheguru ji ki fateh.
Vaheguru